What is pilgrimage? For Catholics, the word pilgrimage has two meanings. The first, more obvious meaning is the actual completion of a physical journey to a place of particular religious significance. The Church says, someone who goes on a pilgrimage prays with their feet and experiences with all his senses that his entire life is one long journey to God. This quote hints at the second, less obvious meaning of the word, which is that pilgrimage can also refer to the journey of life which is headed towards a meeting with God. The Church describes it in this way. Christians, on pilgrimage toward the heavenly city, should seek and think of these things which are above. This encourages Catholics to think of their life as a journey towards heaven, and everything they do should in some way contribute to their progress towards their eternal destination. For this reason, the Church refers to itself as the pilgrim people of God. Where do Catholics go on pilgrimage? Firstly, Jerusalem. This is the city in Israel where Jesus was crucified and the place where the apostles first preached the gospel on the day of Pentecost. For Christians, Jerusalem is in many ways the founding place of their faith. When in Jerusalem, many Christians walk the Via Dolorosa, or Way of the Cross. This is the route that Jesus would have taken from the place where he was sentenced to death by Pilate to the place where he was crucified. Along the route are several markers which follow the traditional stations of the cross. Pilgrims following the Via Dolorosa stop at each marker, hear a reading and say a prayer. The route finishes at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is believed to include the site of Jesus' crucifixion and the place of his burial. Many Christians also visit the site of the high priest's house, where Jesus was put on trial by the Jewish council, as well as the site of the upper room, where the apostles were on Pentecost. Outside of Jerusalem, many pilgrims visit other sites that were significant in the life of Jesus, such as Bethlehem and Galilee. Visiting these places helps Christians develop their faith by feeling closer to the places Jesus walked. It also helps them have a greater understanding of the Gospels as they can picture the places that Jesus went. Secondly, Rome. For Catholics, who are under the authority of the Pope in Rome, the second most important site of pilgrimage is the Vatican City in Rome. This is the home of the Pope and the Catholic Church. St. Peter, the first head of the Church, which makes him the first Pope, was crucified and buried on a hill, which is where the Vatican is now located. Today, Catholic pilgrims visit the tomb of St. Peter to honour his role in the birth of the Church. Many also go to get the chance to see and hear the current Pope, who regularly makes public appearances in St. Peter's Square. A pilgrimage to Rome helps to develop a Catholic's faith as it gives them a sense of unity and closeness with the leadership of the Church. It also helps to put into practice the belief that they should follow the teachings of the Pope, who is the leader of the Church. For Catholics, particularly in Europe, the French town of Lourdes has become a site of pilgrimage since 1858, when a young peasant girl called Bernadette had a series of visions of the Virgin Mary. Mary told Bernadette to dig into the ground, and from here a spring of water developed. Many people who have been bathed in the waters have experienced healing from serious illness. The Lourdes Medical Bureau was set up to test the claims of those who said they had been healed. Today, many people travel to Lourdes in large groups with people who are sick or vulnerable, accompanied by people who travel as helpers or carers for the sick. People travelling to Lourdes often participate in praying the rosary, torchlight processions, and special pilgrim masses with groups from all over the world. A pilgrimage to Lourdes helps Catholics to develop their faith by serving others, celebrating their faith with other pilgrims, and seeking healing, whether it is physical or spiritual. For Catholics in Britain, the national site of pilgrimage is in the small Norfolk village of Walsingham. This has been a site of pilgrimage since the 11th century, when a local woman named Lady Rakeldis had a vision of Mary in which she was instructed to build a replica of the Holy House of Nazareth. This soon developed into a major shrine, with a priory or large monastery attached. King Henry VIII went on pilgrimage 3 times to Walsingham before the Reformation in the 16th century, when he decided to destroy all the monasteries. The shrine at Walsingham was restored in the 19th century and has grown in popularity since. Today, pilgrims stop at the Slipper Chapel, where they remove their shoes before walking the final mile barefoot. They often walk the Holy Mile in procession, carrying banners or the statue of Our Lady of Walsingham. The final destination in Walsingham is the remains of the original priory. This pilgrimage helps Catholics to develop their faith by understanding the history of the Catholic faith in the UK, including the persecution of Catholics, as well as giving them opportunities for prayer. While many Catholics do go on pilgrimage, they can be expensive. For many people, going to Jerusalem may be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. However, for all those times when a Catholic is not on pilgrimage, there is the opportunity to participate in a mini pilgrimage every time they go into a church. The Stations of the Cross are a series of visual representations of Jesus' final journey. This is the same set of stations that mark the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem. In a church, a person can follow the stations, stopping at each one to reflect on the image. At each station there are readings and prayers that a person can say to help them participate more fully in the journey. This is something that can be done on their own, but also many people do this in groups, particularly during Lent and Holy Week. This mini pilgrimage can help develop a person's faith as they walk with Jesus through the pain and suffering he experienced when he was crucified. This can help people to more fully appreciate his sacrifice for their redemption. Thanks for watching. I've been Mr. McMillan.